From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LALATE with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022 and major developing details this morning on the economic front, as a lot of new checks have landed and more are coming, but surprises on the corporate earnings overnight. My goodness. It's April 29, 2022, live on air in Santa Monica, California. As we now see this morning, more states are saying announced state stimulus checks. 4 more announced yesterday in the membership newsletter. It's huge. If you haven't become a member, you want to become a member right today, because state stimulus checks, 4 stimulus checks, have now gone out, and 4 more were added yesterday. We're pushing up to nearly 30 very quickly. Well, the latest details about how to get those big checks in today's recording. Then we'll be looking to the presidential 4 stimulus checks that have gone out as well. They're huge. But as we talk about recessionary pressures and recessionary confusion, a lot of details coming out today that aren't particularly good. We have the latest data that came out this morning, actually last night on Amy's LA. The corporate earnings report for Q1 from Amazon, miss. And then from Apple, miss. Major trouble across the board. Why are they missing? And then what about that latest data about the U.S. stock market and the S&P today? Worst month we're ending from since March 2020. This is not done there yet, but it's all good news for the Build Back Better Act, because the economic data is bad, then more people are likely to give you a stimulus. Then, as we turn to the Federal Reserve, whoa, it gets even worse today on that front. A new inflationary gauge rose in the month of May, slightly suggesting that we're going to get that half basis point increase for the interest rate lift in the month of May for the FOMC meeting. But the core inflationary number slipped not as strong as many people thought. That could signal that maybe inflation is coming down faster than initially perceived. The latest details on that front as well. Did Vladimir Putin default on some debt? We have breaking news on that today. Then we also had breaking news overnight about student loan debt forgiveness. We're just getting started. It's a big day with lots of checks. Hope you became a member, because over this video, stay to the very end. 1 hour broadcast, lots of checks and lots of money to get from the shores of Santa Monica, California. Plus, I'll have the latest on my personal commentary that you want to see. It's at the very end of this video. And with that, the toast is toasting and the butter is buttering. It's Mornings LALATE. And good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day. It is April 29, 2022, and we have a lot of major developing details. We have the latest data that came in from Apple and Amazon that signals big slowing up of this U.S. economy. Ouch. Not particularly good. All the latest details on that front today. As recessionary pressures continue to grow, then we also have the latest core producer index number that came in that indicates whether inflation is stalling up. Interesting. We'll be going back over to Build Back Better Act. We'll look at whether Vladimir Putin made that debt obligation. We haven't talked about his debt obligations in a while. This is interesting because remember, if he defaults, first time since the Bolshevik revolution of the 1917s, then this could majorly impact our U.S. economy. I'll tell you whether he did or didn't default. Then we'll be going back over to the latest details of that SS300 and how it's impacted by Jay Powell and more. But today, there's so much happening. And we're going to start with the breaking news that's really captivating a country right now. It's Amazon and Apple. Amazon and Apple really getting massively hit badly this Friday morning on the U.S. Stock Exchange because they missed. And they missed because the economy is slowing down. Supply chain disruption. First, let's turn to Apple. The reason why Apple missed dramatically is because they say that their component parts will not be able to be sourced. They won't be able to get them because they come from China. This is Supply Chain Disruption 101, featured on this channel for the last 3 months. And this is the latest supply chain disruption I've been featuring the last 2 weeks. It's China. Apple says that it can't get the products, and now it's getting really badly hurt. Then we go to Amazon. It's also having a major downturn. It's seen rising costs to run its business. And this is not just, a walk in the park. These are massive, massive downturns today. First, the U.S. stock market has now fallen to its worst month since the first month of the pandemic, March 2020. The S&P is down 6%, the worst performance since the start of COVID. Ouch. Second, Amazon is down 12% just today. It was down last night as well. And this is after the revenue guidance they gave for the current quarter was weaker than estimated and projected, and Amazon has now experienced its worst day of trading since the 2014 year. My goodness. Amazon Thursday said the projected revenues will come in short, 116 billion to 121, when Wall Street is looking at 125. Then it says that its revenue growth will shrink dramatically. Number three, it reported a quarterly loss for Q1 at $7.56 a share, when Wall Street is expecting a $16 earnings per share. A loss versus an earnings, that's just them. Then we turn to Apple. Apple's down 12% right today, about 11.68%. The current market performance is threatening to make a transition to a longful and painful correction. Correction is another way to say crash, but a long correction to something that's much more troubling, says Market Field Asset Management Chairman Michael Schroud. These declines in March 2020, the start of the pandemic, were fast and sharp, but with fast recoveries. We featured them back in the channel at that time. Remember the K-shaped recovery or the V-shape? Down fast, quick, back up. That's not what they're saying this time. They say the current episode looks likely to be a long-lasting loss. They'll take a very long to recover. Intel is down sharply as well, 5%, continuing narrative across the board. What is the takeaway from this? The takeaway from this is that the White House really is refocusing back on the Build Back Better Act in perfect timing, because people give you stimulus when the U.S. economy is not doing well. Currently, the U.S. economy is really not doing well. That is corporate earnings. I'll be going now to the GDP. The gross national product of the U.S. economy is shrinking. The White House insider says in a series of new interviews that the White House is now projecting we're going to shrink to 3.7% GDP growth compared to 6.9% right now, which was a miss. Wall Street is expecting 7.1%. And I'm saying we're not going to shrink to 3.7, we're going to shrink to 0. Why? Because we're heading to recession. We're heading for 2 years of recession. And I'm not alone, because Deutsche Bank says the same thing, and now JP Morgan says a 35% chance of recession for 2 years. At issue is Build Back Better Act, and when an economy is not doing well, people want to give you stimulus. As we go into the midterm elections, we have a different situation than 2 years ago. Now we have Republicans and Democrats, both agreeing the U.S. economy is not doing well. So what are they going to do? Well, let me go over the analysis starting right now. We have a new report out today that says that Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema are antithesis or opposites. What? Yeah. It says what she wants, he doesn't want. What he wants, she doesn't want. When did that happen? I don't know if this reporting is accurate, but that's what I read in a major Republican publication. It says that Joe Manchin wants to increase corporate taxes. That is correct. And then he wants to reduce the national deficit. That is correct, because he said that on the record over the last few months. But that Kristen Sinema now says if you try to increase corporate taxes, she will vote against it and against Build Back Better Act. Ouch. The president's trying to refocus the domestic agenda of the U.S. Country back on Build Back Better Act. Why? Because he's going to get you a check. He's going to have to do it via bill. If he's going to get you a Build Back Better Act check, he's going to have to do it very quickly, because we're coming up on the midterm elections. You don't vote in November. You vote by mail generally, and you don't vote the day before. You vote as far as 3 months ahead of time. That means you could vote as early as August, perhaps in some places, and that would mean that the checks need to start landing, or September. That means the checks have to have the landing in August. If the checks land in August, they have to have the notion of what they're going to do in May. That is why insiders say that they're likely to get the vote done by Memorial Day weekend. Sound familiar? Yeah, it sounds familiar. They said that last year. Just a different year, just another vote. I think it's going to get done. But I think it's going to be done differently. Why? I think it's going to get some bipartisan support. Yeah, I don't think it works without bipartisan support for either party. Let me show you why. If the Democrats pass the recon without a single Republican vote, then guess what? The Democrats go into the midterm elections and say, see, the Republicans didn't want to give you any money. If the Democrats try to do it themselves and it fails, then the Republicans will say, vote us in. Democrats didn't give you anything. But if they both do it by bipartisan support, then they could both take credit for it and then try to get your vote on election night. I think it will likely go for by bipartisan support. Now, we're not done there yet, because guess what? We're coming back to Build Back Better Act in just about 10 seconds. The Federal Reserve had a new number that came out today. It's a number that is a core inflationary number that the Federal Reserve uses. It's the Consumer Expenditure Price Index, and the March number was less than Wall Street anticipated. Oh boy, it came in at 5.2%. Wall Street looking for 5.3%, so it was a miss. That's still a high number. It's the highest number since April 1983. What does this mean? The analysis coming in today is that it means that inflation is coming down and that Jay Powell and his team may have overestimated how hot inflation's going to stay. The comment comes in from Andrew Hunter, the senior U.S. economist at Capital Economics minutes ago. He says the biggest story for today's data release was further evidence that inflation is starting to ease. Yeah, starting to ease. It supports our view that inflation will fall back a little more quickly this year than Federal Reserve officials now appear to expect. So does that mean that Jay Powell's not going to do a half basis point at the May FOMC meeting? No, he's still doing a half basis point. And the next one, he's going to do it as well. But that's why you want Joe Biden to make that swap from cola to inflation. What are we talking about? This is what Joe Biden's campaign promise was. Swap cola for inflation. That would raise your benefits up. Your benefits are determined based upon COLA every year, but COLA doesn't work. COLA last year came in at 5%. You got cheated because inflation was 8%. If you swap COLA for inflation right today, you'll lock in $200 more per month because that is what inflation's tracking at right now. You don't want to wait before inflation comes down from Jay Powell. Then, if inflation tracks at 4% later this year, you get another $100. That's not just $300 this month, not just this year, but lifetime. Because once your benefits go up, they never go down. Joe, make the call. Joe, make the call that Social Security Administrator ahead and swap that COLA for inflation. Now, as we look at that economic data number coming out today, it basically signals that the economy is starting to slow up. So we have a new number for the economy from which refers to a miss. Looking at 5.3% number, it came in 5.2%. And the PCE number shows that we're still strong compared to year to date, but we're starting to slow up very quickly. Then we have Amazon and Apple, which I just showed you. They're major miss, causing major supply chain disruption. And what is this big problem? Why are we having so many problems suddenly so quickly? It's supply chain disruption, 3 times. The first one, coming out of the pandemic. The second one, Vladimir Putin. The third one, China. China's economy is on major lockdown. Why? Subvariant of Omicron. They're putting cities like Shanghai and Beijing on lockdown. We make products there and ship them back. Or we buy products there and ship them here. And that is also what's happening with Apple. Can't get the component products into its goods and then can't sell your products here. And that is why their bottom line is starting to shrink. In the case of Amazon, back in the United States, their cost to ship is growing up very quickly because of supply chain disruption. And that is causing major hits to their bottom line. What Congress generally does is they generally give you stimulus when economies are not doing well. Well, we're not doing well at the moment. And that is why this is good news for Build Back Better Act. This is good news for Build Back Better Act. It is also good news for your SS300. Swapping that color for inflation today would be good, but you don't want to wait across the board. Now, what about Russia? Did Russia default? Because if Russia defaults, that's not good for us either. Russia has these debt obligations, and we were talking about these debt obligations a lot about a month ago. But breaking news just minutes ago is that Russia's trying to get obligations paid off for a May 4th deadline, and they made a payment just minutes ago. The Russian finance minister minutes ago said that Russia made a payment of $568 million for a loan obligation that was due May 4th, and it made the payment in euro bonds. This is very important. Why? It initially tried to do it in rubles, and it got rejected. Now it's trying it in Eurobonds, which the loan agreement allows for. S&P and Moody's were all talking about this, trying to pay it back in rubles back on April 4th. And it said that trying to pay the debt in rubles put Russia into selective default mode. That's S&P's global ratings back on April 4th. And then when we talk about Moody's said that this May 4th deadline is a very important situation and may be considered a default if it's not remedied by that date. Now, Russia's referring to the whole situation, saying, hey, this is just purely artificial default because we have the money. If you can't get the money, it's default. And this would be the first time that Moscow has defaulted on foreign debt since the 1917 Bolshevik Revolution. So far, it hasn't defaulted, but very, very, very close. We'll be watching this over the next few days leading up to May 4th. I'll be watching it with you. Now, the good news is that amidst all this back and forth about Build Back Better Act, all this confusion about this economic data of SS300, we have great news as now states have now started to pay out state stimulus checks. And the breaking news overnight, if you didn't catch it as a member, is that 4 more states have now paid out or are paying out forced stimulus checks. Whoa, this is huge. There is different ways to get you forced stimulus. By Congress, not law yet. By the president is law, and he has paid them out. I'll show you how to get them in just a second. And by the states. And the great news is that more states are now paying out those forced stimulus checks. They're huge. What's at issue? What's at issue dates back to the early days of 2020. In 2020, Steve Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi were having big arguments. She said there's no money available in the states. He said there is. And he said, you know, the way I'm going to prove it is use or lose. You either use the money or you lose it. You return it back to me. Guess what happened? The states used the money and sent you out a stimulus check in 2020. Now that we're back in 2022 with another stimulus package, what happened this time? Janet Yellen clearly heard what Steve Mnuchin did, and she put the provision in the American Rescue Plan, the third stimulus, use or lose. So the states are now confronted with the same situation. Different year, different pot of money. This time, the use or lose date is December. The states have been ordered to use the money or lose the money. Using it is money to you. Losing it is returning it back to the federal government. Here's what you need to know starting right now. 1. The states were all given the same amount of money under the third stimulus package. Red or blue, rich or poor. Every state was given the same amount of money based upon the number of citizens in the states. Number 2, all the states will likely have a little bit of excess money left over. It just depends on the state. Number 3, every state will use the money. No state's ever going to lose the money, return it back to the federal government. And number 4, the states have to make the determination what they're going to do in the next few days. Why? Same deadline again. They got to get that money out by about November or October. They can't wait till the last second. So that if they're doing that, they have to have this signed into law by about, September, August. To do that, they have to have the legislatures in that state start voting on it by July or June. And if they do that, they have to have the proposal ready in May. That is why we have grown so quickly. Let's look at the situation across the board. Which states, where, how much, what's the details? I'll know more about this after the commercial break, but here's a preview. We started covering this a week ago with 2 states. Within 48 hours, it grew to 20 states. Overnight, we added 4 more states. And the numbers could grow dramatically as we approach 30 states. Which states are giving you forced stimulus checks? How much of the states? How much of those stimulus checks? How do you get them? What is the eligibility? I'll have all those incredible details about, yes, this is called Check D. Of all the incredible details about Check D coming up after the commercial break. But first, you want to become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calstino VIP, because all the details are in the membership newsletter. Then we'll be turning to those big checks that are going out from the President of the United States. They're forced stimulus checks. They've landed. They went out. How do you get them? I'll show you how to get them in this recording. Then you'll have my commentary later in this video, a personal commentary about this economy and also about you and mindsets. And then we'll be looking over to student loan debt forgiveness. We had major developing details on that overnight. Did you miss it? I'll recap it as well. It's huge. It's great. But it's also a little bit interesting. All those details and more, plus those presidential forced stimulus checks. But don't forget to become a member, because after the commercial break, we go over all these incredible checks. The toast is toast and the butter is butter. We're just getting started as a Mornings LA heats up. But first, here's a little bit about the members community page. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as Mornings LA continues.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
And the excitement continues on a big, bold, beautiful Mornings LA for April 29, 2022. The breaking developing details overnight is that more states have now sent out forced stimulus checks. And we're not done there yet because I think the numbers can continue to grow. We started at 2, then we went to 20. Now we're at 4 more added approximately last night. I think we're heading to 30. And we're not done there yet. How do you get these incredible checks? I'll go over them in 1 second. Then we'll be returning to those presidential forced stimulus checks. Huge. How do you get them? They're law. They've landed. I'll have the latest details on that in just a second. Then I'll have my analysis of the economic developing details today because there's a lot. And I'll have a preview of tonight's Evenings LA in prime time. It's a big show and you don't want to miss it across the board. Let's start with that big money from the states. Use or lose. States have money and they will not lose it. So they're going to use it. And they're going to determine how to use it in the month of May because they have to have time to spend it on you. And that is why the announcements are coming so quickly. What's important to understand is that when I first started recording this about a week ago, we had 2 states, and then it quickly ramped up. Understand that you will hear more states announced. I believe that every state has money. It just depends on how much money they're going to spend on you. So let's go over the status of where we are today on these states and these checks. We have about 24 states today, and half of them have either proposed the bill or passed the bill. In the case of states, it's quite different than the federal government. If the state governor proposes something, it becomes law generally because the state governor is usually the controlling party in the state legislature. Now, that makes it very easy. So of the 24 plus states, what's going on? Half are approved it, half have not approved it just yet. And you're going to see more coming thereafter. Now, let's look at the provisions, what they're looking at. The vast majority of them are checks. And they're either just a pure check in the mail or a check that you get when you do something. The check in the mail, let's look at that check, or the check by direct deposit. The check in the mail or by direct deposit, it's generally the same income qualification as a third stimulus check. Single individual, $75,000 or less, married couple, $150,000 or less. But states are all doing it quite differently. So in one state, for example, they're doing a check for hazard pay individuals. Yes. Another state, they're doing a check for people who lost their job but didn't qualify for unemployment assistance. Interesting approach. Another state is doing a check for the children, but the state right next to it isn't doing a check for the children. It's just sort of different across the board. Now, that is a pure cash check. Now, let's go to the next check. The next check that we're seeing in maybe about a handful of states is where you file the tax return, then you get that tax credit. Let's go over the example. Let's say you go to do tax return and it's all zeros, and then you have a $500 tax credit, and then you get a tax refund, $500. That caused a little confusion for some viewers last night. I saw in the live chat last night, some viewers said, well, LALATE said to file a tax return in order to get the check. Let's make clear what I did say. what I said is that if you're in a state that is giving this check based upon the tax return, and it's in the newsletter, it says it's dependent upon the tax return, then read that newsletter very, very carefully and see whether you need to file the tax return. What I said at the time was that if you're a person who, because of your benefit status, you're not required to file a tax return, that doesn't prevent you from voluntarily filing a tax return. And that's when you should consider that across the board. Next, the last type of stimulus that they're doing is the rarest, in which they're saying, we'll give you a benefit off of something that's happening. Let's say we'll give you no taxes on the gasoline at the pump for 2 months. That's the rarest of the circumstance. Here's what you need to know. Every state's doing money. Every state's likely to do money, I should say. Every state's likely to do money. Every state will use the money. Every state will make a determination very quickly in the next few days because they're running out of time to spend the money. And the details are all in the membership newsletter. How do you get this information? First, you want to go to the top of the chat and pin comment and become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Then open that membership newsletter and then go down to Check D. Check D is the state stimulus. Now, let's explain how good this membership newsletter now is. When you go to Check D in the membership newsletter, it'll now say at Check D, click here for a complete list. Click why? Because the membership newsletter is now so long and in so many words, so many lines, that exceeds the number of lines and words permitted by YouTube. So I actually have to send you over to another post for the state stimulus because I now have so much detail in the membership newsletter. So when you go down and check D, you'll say, for the complete list of states and whatever state is doing, click here. And I have that list updated all the time to tell you what's new with the state, whether it went from law, proposed bill to law, and whether a new state has been added, as you saw last night, 4 new states added. All right, let's go now to the presidential for stimulus checks. The president assured the importance of getting you money. And what did he do? He has now done it, with not one, but multiple stimulus checks have now become law by Joe Biden. What did the president do? He took checks out of the clusters of the Build Back Better Act, and he made them law. And I got to tell you, folks, let's not play games here. These are massive checks. These aren't $600 puny checks. These are monster checks. You should be dancing in the streets when you see these amounts of these checks. The first check that is now law is $6,500. It is huge. The eligibility is the same as a third stimulus check. Single individual, $75,000 less, you can get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you can get it. And if you're on benefits, you can get it. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, go get it. This is called the Homeowners Weatherizing Grant Check. It is absolutely incredible. How do you get it? You open that membership newsletter. Then go down in the newsletter at the very top and look for Check A. You'll see it. Go to Check A, and then it'll give you the link. You go into the national website. Then you choose your state, like in Mississippi. Then you choose for example, Mississippi Weatherizing Grant Check and apply. And you get funded. Average payment, $6,500 to $12,000. Incredible, depending on the state. The next check is even more. Can you imagine? Look at these big sums of money. Really, really wonderful, great news. It is a presidential for stimulus check sent out by executive order, taken out of the Build Back Better Act. It is law. It has been paid. It is landed by direct deposit. It is huge. The direct depositing of it is enormous. Payout is about $66,000 to $80,000. It's a for stimulus check. It is the same eligibility as a third. Single individual, $75,000 less. Married couple, $150,000 less. Then, also, if you're on benefits, SSI and SSDI, this is called the Homeowners Grant Check. How do you get this one? Same way as A. Go to that membership newsletter. Go down to Check B. Look for Check B in that list. Then it'll have another link to another website. That website link will send you into the national website with a map like this. Then choose your state. When you choose your state, then apply and pounce. And you'll get funded very quickly. Initial funding was about 1 week out from approval status and application status. Huge. Get that incredible check. We're not done there yet because there's a Check C. That Check C is even better. Check C is an MSC check. It's being paid out about $2,000 a month over 12 months. How do you get it? You reach out to a series of places. featured on this channel. You reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, and your county house authority. And the keywords you say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. Then you do 3 musts. You must reach out to all 3 places. You must get lots of months. And you must lean on those nonprofits. If you're a member, you want to reach out to not 6 places, you want to reach out to about 15, because you have the membership newsletter that provides you the nonprofits to reach out to them. Get these incredible sums of money. They're huge. Viewers are tracking at about $45,000. Why would you wait? Get these incredible checks. These are check C's, and they are now tracking about $2,000 per month over 12 months. Get these incredible checks. You deserve it. Get them right today. Do not wait. Again, averaging about $45,000, but in recent days, $2,000 over 12 months. Get these incredible checks today. That is check C. How do you get all this? Becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via the YouTube alert system. We have a big surprise as student loan debt forgiveness got another update overnight. But was it better or was it worse? Let me tell you what's going on. When Joe Biden became president of the United States, he promised to forgive student loan debts, but then slowly took it off point. He said he told Miguel Cardona, his education secretary, to make a determination about the legal authority of the president forgiving himself. And then that didn't come in. There was no result. There was no answer. There was no update. Went on for months and months and months. Finally, it ramped up very quickly in the recent days. The president forgave student loan debts for individuals who became disabled after graduation, went to work in the nonprofit of the public sector after graduation. Then the president took debts that were in default and put them in good standing. It looked really good. Then the president said, if your debts had been were due in May, I'm going to roll them over to September. Finally, the president said the best of all the statements he said, which was, if your debt was procured by fraud by your university against you, I'm forgiving the student loan debt. Whoa. A week ago today, the Teal Monster, the press secretary, said the president's consideration of complete student loan debt forgiveness is still on the table. It looked all really good until yesterday, and then it all blew up again. The president had a press conference, not about student loan debt, but about Ukraine, in the White House. And then the reporter did what you thought she would do. She asked him, Mr. President, are you going to forgive $50,000 of student loan debt? Ouch. It's as though she set off a time bomb, because he did not like the question, certainly during a Ukraine press conference, and he certainly didn't like the number either. And what did he say? I'm never going to forgive $50,000 of student loan debt. No, Lord. Someone give him a Snickers bar. He got really upset with the question. He specifically, flatly said he's never going to forgive $50,000. Now, the follow-up question, I guess, was not fielded or not allowed, because obviously the follow-up question is, what number then? He did say, I'm telling Miguel Cardona to take a hard, cold look at this and get back to me shortly. I would have the follow-up question, which is, didn't you ask him to do that 2 months ago, 3 months ago? How many times are you going to do a hard, cold look? He did not say he was going to forgive that, so his comment was contradictory to the Teal Monster. My opinion of the situation is that he's going to get done the next few days, and it will be a number, but it won't be $50,000. It may be close to $10,000. The latest economic data today is all confusing, but let me explain to you where it's bringing us. It's basically showing this economy is stalling up. The economy is stalling up. It's not doing well. When you see Apple saying, we're worried about our sales of our iPhones next quarter because we can't get the parts to go into the iPhone out of China, it's stalling up. When we see Amazon saying that we're projecting a loss, not a revenue beat, we're stalling up. And they say that's caused by supply chain disruption, as is Apple. When we see Intel reporting earnings and its stock falling 5%. When we're seeing Robinhood reporting a greater loss than anticipated. When we see the data that came in on the inflationary gauge today, missing at 5.2%, when Wall Street's looking at 5.3%, and as Andrew Hunter said, that the data shows that inflation is easing. As you see things slowing down with a little bit more than a half a year left until we potentially see a full-on recession, what is my takeaway? My takeaway is this looks very similar to something we saw before, December 2020. In December 2020, I said to you, listen, Nancy Pelosi and Steve Mnuchin have been negotiating the second stimulus package, the HEROES Act, for a while, and there's still no deal. I got some money for you, rent and utilities and mortgage assistance. Let me show you how to get it. Go get it. I call it purple money at the time. I said, go get it. And I got viewers 250,000. But the way I did it was also made very thick and clear to you that the Heroes Act negotiations were going really slowly. Thank goodness I told you to get that money. Thank goodness you got the money. Thank goodness Tyrone and his family out of Boston got that $15,000, paid all his rent from then to the spring. Because guess what happened? There never was a Heroes Act. It never got done. They never got the Heroes Act done. They never got the second stimulus package done. They never got it to law. Which brings me to where we are today and my commentary in today's video. In my commentary today's video, the great news is that I have the ability, and I've shown you the ability, and you've done it with the skill set that you bring to this channel to get these state stimulus checks, to get these Joe Biden federal stimulus checks. The Joe Biden checks are huge. They're absolutely enormous. We're not talking about $600. We're talking about $66,000 to $80,000. We're talking about $6,500 to $12,000. These are massive checks. We're very, very fortunate to have these massive available checks right today. And the great news is that they're absolutely everywhere. They're everywhere. Whether you're a renter or a homeowner, whether you're on benefits or not on benefits, there's checks and monies everywhere. Which brings me to my commentary today. In recent days, I've seen something going on in the live chat, and I don't like it. And there hasn't been a solution to it yet. And let me tell you what's going on. What's going on in the live chat is that people have been posting, even members, that there's, quote, no money anywhere in their state or neighboring states or down the river, over the hills, or anywhere. There's just no money. Let's understand, it's a fake statement. It's a false statement. There's money in every state. There's money in every state. And when they do that, what happens? Ultimately, someone reads it until I delete it. Someone reads it and thinks, oh, there's no money? I won't go get the money. I guess there wasn't any money. I guess the latest update is there wasn't any money. Let's make it even clearer. I'm making a recording. I'm on camera showing you how to get the money, and then someone's in the live chat saying there's no money in their state, and that their state is an anomaly, is a rare occurrence. And then someone else will say, oh, my state has no money anywhere else. And then it sort of grows. And then suddenly it's like two voices, my voice and then the voice in the chat. Let's make this clear again. What the people are saying is wrong. So I've been considering getting rid of the live chat. I'm going to jump at the live chat right now and see your reaction. I'm considering getting rid of the live chat because if I'm making a recording and all I'm getting in the live chat is people saying there's no money and I'm showing people how to get the money, then people are negatively hurting other people. They're not only discouraging other people not to get the money, they're running a separate narrative. I have one video running and then someone on the live chat is saying the exact opposite. I understand the importance of the live chat. Trust me, I really do. The importance of the live chat is for people to interact with one another and feel the community, feel the value that one another brings in this interaction. But imagine if this is going on a regular basis. So yes, I am actually considering getting rid of the live chat because it can't go on. It can't go on. Now, I don't want to get rid of the live chat, so let me make it clear to you. But the only way to keep it going, where you hear my voice and you don't hear someone else's voice saying there's no money, is for you to step up. It's for you to step up. Currently in this live chat, no one's doing. Currently in the live chat, no one is posting a negative false comment, so I don't have an example to use in this recording. But if someone was in this live chat right now saying something like, there's no money in my state of Montana, like someone did on Morning's Countdown this morning, I would implore you to immediately go into that live chat and say, there is money. There's money in every state. Stop doing that. Stop saying there's no money. Tag them and say, stop doing that. And put in the hashtag Purple Patrol. Put in the hashtag Purple Patrol, because guess what? When they do that, they're really hurting someone else. The purpose is to help people. The purpose is not to hurt people. And can you imagine that fellow members are telling other people that there's no money in any states? It's as though people come here to get the money and then someone's sort of saying, turn around, go out the door. There was no money when the money was already in the room, when the money was already there. And the only way that you can solve the situation is jump in that live chat right away and say, you know what? Stop that. Stop that. We need to stay positive and you need to stop posting false statements. It's important to understand that in a landscape in which there is money, the money is available. But if you tell people there's no money, then suddenly it becomes infectious. And then eventually what happens is that people stop getting money. Let me tell you the landscape of where we are right today. The landscape is just like 2020. We don't know for certain what's going to happen with Build Back Better Act. But we know that the president has sent out big forced stimulus checks. We know that the forced stimulus checks are law, that we know the viewers have gotten. We know that it has been gotten by people on benefits like SSI and SSDI. We know that people have gotten it if they're renters and if they're homeowners. We know that it's in every single state. And we know that states are also doing state stimulus checks on top of that. We know there's a lot of money, and it's not small sums of money. So that money is available right now. You want to get it. In view of the economic data that we have from Amazon and Apple today, and the latest data that came out with that core producer inflationary number that the Federal Reserve is going to look at and say, hey, is the economy stalling up even worse than we think it is? And with the concern that maybe Vladimir Putin would default on that debt, the concern about that oil and wheat grain prices, I haven't covered in this recording, still concerned. The oil prices are still super high. They haven't come down. And the worries that we're going into 2 years of recession, you cannot pass up cash. You need to grab every pot of cash that's available and get it. For anyone who says, no, I'm just going to wait for Build Back Better Act, and that's what someone did in the morning's countdown this morning. I'm just going to wait for Build Back Better Act. No, you're not. No, you're not going to do that because I'm not going to allow you to do that. That's what some people tried to do in 2020, saying, I'm going to wait for the HEROES Act. I'm going to wait for Nancy Pelosi's HEROES Act, second stimulus, to become a law because it has some really great stuff in there. She had a $50,000 grant in there, remember? She had some big checks in there. People said, no, I'm not going to get the money for rent and utilities. I'm going to get the HEROES Act when it becomes law. And it never became law. I'm not saying that anything in this recording is not going to become law, but I'm also saying that you know that when economic uncertainty is abounds, you can't get burned. You need to earn. You need to learn to earn. You learn and you earn by pouncing. As soon as checks become law, you pounce and get them. If you don't, and you wait for something on the horizon that may never formulate the way you think it was going to formulate, you get burned. And I don't want that to happen. Coming up next on this channel at noontime, we'll go over routing times and when these checks are landing. Great news. More encouragement for you to get them. More encouragement for you to get them. If I show you the tight routing times, which they really do have, then more encouragement for you to go and pounce as a Purple Hawk and get these checks today. Positivity breeds spirit. Encouragement breeds spirit. Motivation breeds spirit. Telling people that there's nothing out there just causes lots of confusion. What you need to do is, if you see someone in the live chat that says there's no money, you need to tag them and really tag them dramatically. I'm going to use one example right now. I'm not going to name the person, but you see the person's comment. The person's comment is by someone that has a blue L next to their name in the live chat. The person just wrote with the blue L right next to their name, my state of Tennessee doesn't care from anyone but the teachers. Here's the learning example. I didn't know if I would have one in a live chat. Let me read you the comment. It's in the live chat right now. So this person in the live chat, not a member, just wrote, Tennessee doesn't care about the citizens of their states, except for the teachers. And they don't care, and we're all going to leave us homeless. There we go. So basically what the person just wrote, I'm not going to name it, but you can read the comment. It has an L next to it with a blue around it. Basically just wrote that Tennessee has no money and that Tennessee is not sending out money. Okay, you know how long it's going to take for me to disprove that? As long as so long that my mouse hits this map. There we go. Okay. Do you see the Tennessee on the map? Yeah, I see Tennessee. You see Tennessee? Green. Yeah, there's Tennessee. You know how much Tennessee's giving? $15,000 to $80,000 per person. Tennessee so doesn't care about its people that it's giving them $15,000 to $80,000 a person. That's really uncaring. So uncaring, you gave me $80,000. How darn you? That is what needs to stop. So when you see that person's comment in the live chat that wrote that Tennessee doesn't care and is not giving any money to any citizen of the state, you need to go right and immediately tag that person, say, Stop posting false statements. Stop posting it. Because guess what you did to that person, other people in Tennessee? There may have been someone in Tennessee that saw that comment and did not apply. That's exactly what I'm talking about. What's important to note is that people need to stop posting that and understand that that is where that comes from. When people say that there's no money, let me tell you what happens. Not only do people worry about the state of Tennessee, they'll be in the neighboring states say, oh, if Tennessee has no money, my state has no money. Or it becomes infectious, then people start repeating it. When you see a comment like the person in the Tennessee, you need to tag the person and say, Purple Patrol, wrong, stop posting that. Why is this important? Because what's going to happen is that when people see lots of people saying that's wrong, they'll see other people saying it's wrong, they'll ignore the comment. Let me say it again. When someone says something wrong, that there's no funds, and everyone else says that's wrong, do not write that, then the rest of the live chat will see the people saying it's wrong and understand it was a wrong comment. They'll understand it. At the moment, how many people in the live chat have done that? I don't see a lot at the moment. I see two. I see two people in the live chat who have now tagged that person. There's currently over 200 people in the live chat, and no one else has allowed, with the exception of those two people, have put this person and told them to stop it. This is part of the concern. That 200 people in the live chat, one person says something wrong, two people says untrue, and the rest of you aren't doing anything. I know the importance of banana bread. I know the importance of mango cake. I know the importance of upside down pineapple cake. I know the importance of lobster shorts for some of you. But what you got to do is stop allowing this to happen. What you got to do is stop allowing this to happen. You need, and we're not talking about positivity. This is more important than positivity. This is where people are posting false facts. And those false facts are very infectious. I'll join you next at 11 a.m. on noontime. For now, I hope I don't have to get rid of the live chats. I hope I don't have to get rid of the live chats. But I need you to do what I said. I need you to be in the live chats when they're there and tag the person, say, that's not true, don't post it. We're not talking about positivity again. We're not talking about negativity or positivity. We're talking about facts. They're literally saying there's no money. It's wrong. It's 100% wrong, and it's got to stop. I hope you stop it as well. And with that, I'll see you at noontime, where we go over the writing time of those checks. Great news. And then we have a brand new Afternoons LA at 3 o'clock. Then on Evenings LA, even more money. It's a big show at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. But first, if you haven't become a member, make sure you do. Where is that membership link? The membership link is under the video's description and at the top of the chat. Become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Then get the incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. Make sure you subscribe. Go to the top of the chat and hit the subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. Then make sure you hit that bell to make sure notifications are set to all. And then join me on the next show. And don't miss tonight's Evenings LA. It's going to be a big show. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, the coffee is brewing. We're just getting started on a big day. Markets are down and they're going to continue to be down. But what does this mean for your money? I'll have more about that on afternoons and then on evenings. Stay informed, stay focused. Have a beautiful day and stay with LA for more.